Casey, we good? All right, from Duquesne University, we have head coach Dan Burt and student athletes Mackenzie Blackford and Alexis Bordas. Coach, opening statement, please.
Certainly a tale of two halves. We couldn't throw it in the ocean in the first and second quarter. We were 1 for 16 from the three-point line and really playing into maybe what VCU's game plan was, which was to take threes. And a fair amount of them were good-looking shots, but it wasn't falling for us. We were 1 for 16, and we also had 8 turnovers in the first quarter. When you look at the third and the fourth, we outscored them 41-22, and we were 6 for 9 from the three-point line, and we only had 7 turnovers from the second, third, and fourth quarters. And for us, that's a really good thing because we've struggled with turnovers all year. I think RJ Bell, our offensive coordinator, did a great job by us really abandoning our offense and going 5 out. I think that caused a lot of problems for them. And then our kids executing it with just playing with some freedom and flow. And I'm really happy for them. They're great young women. A lot of people understand that we had, we don't look in the rearview mirror, we only look at the windshield, and we had a tough time in January, and we've had about 85 practices, and we've only had 2 that were bad all year, and that's a very low number. They have brought optimism and determination and great resilience the entire season. They're a great group of young women, and I'll say that for the rest of my life. They're great kids, and excited about being the youngest team in the A-10 and
Thank you, Coach. All right, questions for the student athletes only, please. Zach, we'll start with you.
Zach Weiss, Atlantic10.com. Ladies, just how exciting was it when you felt that you had that energy and you had figured it out in the third quarter, and how did you feed off of each other to push it further?
Yeah, we knew we'd been in this position before. We've had many games where we've been down and fought back, so we just remind each other to keep pushing, keep fighting like we've done all year, and I think we did that. And then we know basketball's a game of runs, and we had our run, and we just kept building off each other, and every single person contributed greatly.
Right here.
Jalen Holmes with Double Six Sports. So Alexis, this is your first time playing in the A-10 tournament. You put the team on your back, dropping 24 points and shooting 50% from the floor. What fuels that confidence?
Just the preparation that I've put in up until this point, and all the confidence that my teammates and coaches have in me. I couldn't do it without them, and it was a really fun win, and I'm excited for the rest of the tournament.
And in that third quarter, you all won 21-9. What did you see out there offensively that triggered that run?
I think we were just flowing better. We had a lot more movement. We were kind of stagnant in the first half, not really moving off the ball, so just cutting more off-ball screens, that gave us some more movement and momentum.
Daniel.
Daniel Frick from A-10 Talk. You guys had 3 separate stretches of 5.5 minutes or more where you didn't have a field goal. What is your mentality in those moments where it's not going and it's not working, and how do you fight through that to persevere in this one?
I think like Lex said, basketball is a game of runs, so we knew we would get out of it at some point, and we did, and just fed off of each other's energy, played really well down the stretch.
Back to Zach.
Ladies, that run started with defense, and the energy that Batu had specifically out on transition, and Raven was a +20 in the second half. Just what did you make of the 2 of their efforts, and again, how you fed off of what they were able to do and just build and build and build?
Yeah, they brought us so much energy, and that's really where our run began. And Coach Bell kept telling us in the timeouts, like, even if we're not scoring offensively, we have to keep playing great defense, and I think we did that throughout the game.
And I think Fatu has just done a great job improving as each game comes, and she completely sparked our run, so really proud of her for that.
Other questions for student athletes? Okay, ladies, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Trey, you can take them if you want.
Can I take this?
Yeah, you can take
Yes.
it, absolutely. Enjoy it for an hour or 2.
Thank you, guys.
All right, questions for head coach Dan Burt. Right here.
Hi, Alana Miracle, student at Norfolk State and a part of the A-10 student program. I know you mentioned that your offensive coordinator did something different to help you guys in the second half, but your words also helped the ladies as well. So what was that conversation in the locker room during halftime to give them that momentum in the second half?
We're a very positive-oriented environment. I think that's why we're having success late after having that swoon in January. And I believe in positivity. And so we went into the locker room, and we just talked about that we were standing. And we had no movement at all, and it was to the benefit of VCU. And so we just talked about trying to find more movement, and with our center screening, and if they were hugging the defender, the VCU defender was hugging us, then we would re-screen that action, and it's very hard to defend multiple actions when you're on defense. We got some good looks that way, and then if the defender, the post defender, was in drop coverage in the middle of the lane, we knew coming off the ball screen that they would be open for threes. And it's not a complicated game, but you have to be able to read it in real time, and that makes it difficult. And we just talked about, guys, we're not going to go 1 for 16 again, and that's what we did. And we're not going to have no movement, and we're always better in front of our own bench. And really, that was about it. And then we came out and the kids executed. Good question.
Zach?
Zach Weiss, Atlantic10.com and Fashion University. Dan, I have to ask you the same question I asked the ladies, just about Batu and about Raven. I know you talked earlier about Raven every possession having that defensive identity, but for the two of them to spark, maintain, and build upon that run specifically, how special was that to watch?
Where's your beard? You shaved your beard off. I didn't recognize you. Fatu is a kid that has, as a sophomore, has had some ups and downs in terms of learning what her role is and what her responsibilities are. And she's embraced them, but she's had to learn how to do it in real time on the floor. And that hasn't always been comfortable for her. But she's playing her best basketball now because she's really engaged defensively. And you saw that dive on the floor, that's a championship effort. That's just a championship effort. She ended up with 3 steals, but I think that she probably had 3 more deflections. So when you have a championship effort like that dive, you have 3 steals, you probably have 3 more deflections, and you play pretty good defense. 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds. I'm so happy for her. It wasn't, the ball didn't go in the basket for her today, but she's actually shot the ball much better also. And the expectation for Fatu has always been very, very high, and she's starting to realize those expectations, and it started with her defense.
And Raven?
Well, Raven is just Raven. 9 points and 9 rebounds with 2 blocks, and probably altered at least 4 to 5 more shots. She's someone in the first quarter she listens to everything, even though she may make the face, she listens to everything I say. And she still likes to make a face, give me a stink eye every once in a while. But she does listen. And I asked her, I said, I want you to drive the ball and see if we can get a foul off that. And she drove it, and bounced off the kid, and there's no call. And she's like, Coach, I don't understand why. I said, well, we found out that's 1 possession. That's not going to be something they call tonight. So instead of that, let's take our time, catch the ball facing the basket, and if you have to nash it across the lane, their defenders are going to turn and look at you, and then you're going to become almost like a point center, and you're going to be able to find people that are open. We didn't have to do that very much. We actually kind of ran pistol without anyone even realizing it, with her running to the wing and catching it ahead, and we were able to run a few possessions there where we were able to have a little bit of success. But Raven, potential is such a dirty word, and we've talked about her potential for a year, and she started to really realize her potential over the last 8 or 9 games, and it couldn't happen to a better human being. So like her brother had in the stands, he had a sign that said, let her cook, and we let her cook, and she had some fun today.
Over here.
Coach, you mentioned your team has had 85 good practices and only 2 bad ones. What has that built in your team, and how is it going to help prepare them for the second round of the tournament?
Well, that's the standard at Duquesne. Going into this season, this is my 13th year, and going into this season, no one has won more games than Duquesne women's basketball in those 13 years. And I don't know where we're at now. That was at the beginning of the season. We haven't had the year that we expect. I've been here 19 years, 18 full seasons, and we've only had 1 losing season. So this is a very unusual situation for us to be in. And, we have just tried to remain positive through each day. And the kids learned a little bit of that through Meg McConnell, who's in the WNBA and who's a graduate of our program, who's been around our program quite a bit, especially through last summer when she was injured after playing for Phoenix. But we didn't have, and this is my fault, we didn't have a lot of maturity and maturity isn't the right word. We haven't had as much, we don't have any game experience. We've had to build that game experience, and I didn't recognize that as I built the roster, and I really felt like we were going to be totally fine, and we really just did not have game experience. I've had to talk to them about what everything is. Like when we play the city game against the school down the street, and we're 8-3 against them in the last 11. That one sits with me. Like I had to explain to them the importance of that game. When we came here to Richmond, I had to explain to them everything. This is a first class, and I mean a first class event. From the people at Henrico who have put this on to our A10 people, I wanted the kids to understand how the press conference would be, why we have to practice off-site, everything about this event. And we had to walk them through that because we really have only 1 or 2 kids that have done that. And so we've been able to do that, and they've embraced it, and it's just been a joy all year. I never thought I'd say with the record we've had that it's been a joy. If you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, first of all, I would never have believed our record. But we're 1-0, and that's all that matters. And I'm so happy because they have such joy. Our mantra is relentless joy, and they really embody that. So they're a lot of fun, and I love them dearly, all of them.
Right here.
Alana, A10 student program again. Speaking of your positive mindset and you guys' energy, you guys are 1-0. And even though you didn't have the season that you would have hoped for, the championship title is up for grabs, it's anyone's. So speaking of that, what adjustments are you guys going to make going into the second round to prevent the outcome like today's game? In the regular season, Zach will tell you, he's at every press conference, we enjoy it to midnight, or we drown our sorrows to midnight, and then we move forward, whether it's a win or loss. Now it's 2 hours. So they can go and have fun and enjoy it, see their families and everything. They've got 2, maybe 3 hours. We'll get together, I think it's at 6 o'clock, and we'll have dinner, and we'll watch the film. We've played St. Joe's twice. We're very familiar with them. And the one good thing about playing St. Joe's is that Cindy's been there longer than I've been at Duquesne, and she doesn't change a lot. She's a very good basketball coach. I voted for her for Coach of the Year. I thought she did an incredible job this year. And you kind of know what they're going to do with a little bit of wrinkles here and there. And so can you defend it? And that's what we'll try to do tomorrow. And what we'll do is we'll watch a lot of film. We have a nice big conference room that's probably about 3 times the size of this, and we have a basketball court put down. Well, it's not an actual wooden floor, it's tape. It's medical tape put down, and we'll walk through that. And then we'll just take care of our bodies and tip it up tomorrow and see what we are. Because when we played them at their place late, we had like 3 or 4 possessions that really changed the game, where we got a steal, and we threw it to someone, and you thought it would be a layup. They stole it back and hit a 3. And we had like 3 or 4 possessions of that really, really hurt us. And they're old, and we're not. And so hopefully we're a little bit older from 3 weeks ago, and we'll be able to give them a good matchup tomorrow.
All right, we have time for one more question. I think there was one over here.
I got all day. How are you?
Go ahead.
Alexis's confidence as a freshman is remarkable. What can you speak about her development over the season?
She has that confidence because no one works harder. I've had 33 EuroLeague players, a WNBA player. I don't know if I've had anyone. I've had people comparable. And when you compare a freshman like Meg McConnell or Vanessa Abel, who played in the EuroLeague, or April Robinson, who the A10 did a beautiful job of recognizing at the first media timeout and was the player of the year in this league. Her work ethic is very similar to them. And that's not just on the basketball court, that's in the classroom. In 2 weeks, she'll be interviewing for medical school as a freshman. She is simply an incredible young woman. And during the recruiting process,
It was really interesting. Every time I would go to watch her play for years, I'd say hello after the game, and she would say every single time, "What can I do to get better?" Every single time. And at some point, you're like, "Hey, kid, quit asking me that question. I don't know." Like, I just wanted to eat popcorn and watch the game today. But she is constantly striving to be her very, very best in all facets of her life. She's a tremendous leader. She's a tremendous young woman.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you for
Congratulations.
supporting women's basketball. Appreciate everyone being here. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, from VCU, we have Coach Kurt Crawford and student athletes Lathea Sotelo and Katerina Knezevich. Opening statement from Coach, please.
I was very pleased on how our team competed today. We've had a difficult year as far as injuries and other things outside our program, and I'm very proud of this team of continuing to be competitive, continuing to practice competitively, and to really practice and play with character. And very pleased with our team today. Obviously, the result is not what we wanted, but I'm very happy of how they responded today, and not so much just today, but also practices the last 4 to 6 weeks. Very, very proud of this team.
All right, questions for the student athletes only, please.
Katerina, with not the results you wanted, but a lot of really high effort, energy plays today. What can you say about this team, how far you guys come, and to come out and have a performance like you did today, even though you didn't have the results you wanted, but still play with all your heart and
Sorry.
I feel like after the year that we had, the only thing that we had left was giving all that we could. Like, in tournament is one game, and that's it if you don't win. So I feel like we all play for seniors. We all play for ourselves. We all play for personal pride also. I feel like it's hard. It was a hard year. It was really hard to just keep it up, but it's the only thing that you have left to do. So that's what we did, right? And I'm happy that we end up with a good game, because despite some parts of the third quarter or some parts of the game where our energy was down, we kept pushing each other up, and I think that's really important.
All right, John?
Katarina, I'm John O'Connor from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. In your view, what sort of shifted the momentum there in the third quarter? Thank you.
I think the moment when they caught a couple of offensive rebounds on the free throw line, and then, shot the 2+1. So I think that was the major shift, and then we couldn't figure out the way to score for, a couple of minutes. So I think that's one of the reasons that this whole game switched and changed it to another direction.
Zach?
Zach Weiss, Atlantic10.com. The first half defense, you really were frustrating them. How pleased were you with that, and how did that push you on offense to find yourselves?
I'm a believer that what you do, if you're good in defense, you're gonna do it in offense. So I feel like the starting with right deflections and just being active was what pushed us to be better in the first part. Yeah, the only problem that we had in defense was the offensive rebounders, the offensive rebound that they keep grabbing. But despite that, we did a really good job, and I think that's what would push our defense for sure.
Other questions for student athletes?
Katarina, started the game on fire. It seemed like you had eyes in the back of your head. A lot of really good pocket passes, a lot of really good deflections. Just talk about what you were feeling going into this game, and what it meant, as what could have been the final game of the season that turned out to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that from the very beginning of the game, I played like I usually play on a practice, and throughout this couple of weeks of practicing, I've been, putting a lot of emphasis on when to make a good pass, when is the right decision, when is the right read to make. So I think that, starting off the game, I could see the floor very well, and I think that's one of the reasons why our first quarter was pretty much good compared to all of the other ones. We did pretty good job also in the second quarter. We kept doing the same thing, but then the switch happened in the third quarter, and that clearly is not the result that we wanted, but there are some things that changed mid-game, and that's it.
Back here.
Alexis Washington, A10 Student Media. As you mentioned, there was a switch in the third quarter. You guys held them for a pretty well, first and second quarter. So when that final stretch happened, what was the messaging timeout to try to get everybody back on the same page to regain the lead? It was a pretty tight game. It was like anybody's game. So what was the message to try to retake the lead back?
You got it? It was mostly getting back to the defense part, because I think through the whole season, the moment that the other team started to get in a run and we don't score, we put our heads down. So what we tried to focus, it was to pick it up, the defense again, to mostly rebounds and just pick the defense up. So I feel like that was it. Offensive rebounds, and defense.
All right, any other questions for the student athletes? Okay, last question.
And so now going into the off-season, and looking forward to next year, what are you guys gonna take away from the season? You know, positive or negative, things that you wanna work on, things that you wanna continue on into next season?
Personally, I would say that this season was one of the best seasons I had in the terms of learning basketball, basically. You know, just trying to figure out, as I said, what are the main parts of the game. You know, trying to figure out when is the time to do certain things. And I spent a lot of times on a lot of minutes on the court, and I think that was one of the best experiences that I ever had in my basketball career, because playing in a program and in organized basketball at this age, you know, very competitive, very strong teams that we played against, and you know, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because I started looking at basketball in a different perspective, and I had so much improvement in my game from the very beginning until now.
Okay, ladies, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants us both.
You, okay, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I tried to focus this season in getting my confidence back. After last year was also hard. Same result in tournament. I felt like in offense more, because in defense I've been good, constant, but in offense I felt like the decisions, the passes, the confidence that I had in myself was pretty low. So what I focused this year on was on personal pride and just keep working on that. And I'll say Coach Crawford helped me a lot on that. And also my teammates that told me to keep shooting the ball. So I feel like I did a big improvement from the first part of the season till now. And I'll say next year, just keep focusing on that. Keep the defensive part up, keep the rebound part up, and then just keep focusing on the offensive part.
All right, ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, questions for Coach Crawford? John.
Look, I'm John O'Connor from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Could you describe what the last month has been like for you personally and for this group? Thank you.
It's been exciting for me personally. I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities. I mean, I've had interim positions at previous schools, even last year as an interim. So I view the opportunity as exciting. I learned a lot. When you move over one chair from an assistant to a head coach, you learn quite a bit. That was exciting for me. But the biggest thing is that I do want to say is that this was a staff effort. It just wasn't me. Our staff, the number one concern are the athletes' welfare and experience in that room. And our staff did a great job. It just wasn't me. Our staff did a great job of coming together, pulling together, and making sure that those athletes continue having a great experience. And they did. Our practices, you guys weren't in our practices. Our practices were phenomenal. They had great character, and that has a lot to do with how our staff came together.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
Alexis.
Alexis Washington, Duquesne Media. Coach, every time you get around the podium and someone asks, you know, like, how you feel, you're always positive. You always say, I thought, you know, we played well tonight despite the outcome. What is it about this team that just keeps you hopeful and that just keeps you just so positive despite not having the season that you guys hoped for?
Well, I think the one thing that we need to realize is that we had 3 season-ending injuries to key players. I mean, we lost an all-conference player in Mary, and then 2 season-ending injuries to our starting freshman guards. And no one ever made that excuse. It was always the next person up. It was always what do we have to do to get over that, right? A lot of people don't realize, is I get asked a lot of questions with those three being out. Sure, it hurt us offensively, but it hurt us defensively also. I mean, Mary was an all-conference player on both ends of the floor, and so I think the biggest thing is, the thing that I'm proud of is that there was never any excuses of those three players being out. We always looked forward. We always moved forward. How can we get other people involved to fill those roles? And I'm very proud of that, if that answers your question. Yep.
Other questions for Coach Crawford?
Coach, a lot to be proud of in this season, as you say. Looking forward to next year, what do you want to see taken? What do you want to see left behind as this crew probably evolves and will be different?
Yeah. Well, we talked about it in the locker room after the game, is that just because there's a loss here, that does not dictate who those players are in the locker room. So we talked about finishing up strong academically. We have a tremendous academic team. We just talked about wherever anyone goes or in their process of either staying or playing for a different program, or the athletes that will never play organized basketball again, is what did you learn from this year, especially the last 8 to 10 weeks. And they really grasped that. I mean, it's just, I've been coaching for a long time, and a lot of times athletes will tell you what you want to hear, but I really believe in the athletes in our locker room that they took the good and the bad, and they will extend that forward on wherever their future situation is. So I'm very proud of that.
Anyone else? All right, Coach, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.